Welcome to Women Atheists Unload, a show by women for everyone. Today we're talking about toxic religious publications. So sit back and get ready.
I know you told your friend you're not okay. And tell me what's wrong and why you never said you felt that way. And guess you're trying to stay strong and fake a smile until I look away. But I've known you too long, it hurts to watch your blue eyes fade to gray.
Well, hi everybody. Mary, Alma.
Hello.
Hi.
You guys have a veritable library of craziness to share with us today, and I don't have much. I'm a lapsed Methodist, and pretty mainstream,
What?
so I've got my Bible sitting around. But oh, look!
Oh, and there's more.
And there is more.
So, Mary, why don't you introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about who you are, and we'll get going.
Okay, well then. Hi, everybody. Thanks for inviting me to be here. My name is Mary. I was born and raised Amish, and I talk about the toxic teachings some days, like these guys called The Sacred Subjects, written by an Amish minister. So I'm excited about that.
And well, my name is Alma. I'm usually on Nuestra Experiencia Atea. And I have a bunch of books from the Jehovah's Witness. They have a ton of publications, but I brought like the biggest ones that they give to children and they use for science. And I got one that nobody's supposed to have. But I found it.
Okay.
Were you being rebellious, Alma?
Yes, I am a rebellious woman.
Well, I'm disobedient, you know. I had to confess to that while I was still in the church, so I'm sure.
Yeah, this obedience, that is one of those things that's in that Bible thing there. And nobody likes a rebel. Anyway, what do we got? What's the juiciest publication you'd like to feature from your collection?
This one is called To a Girl of 11.
And also, I got a recording from Stephanie Mendez. She records something for us regarding the Book of Mormon. This is something that the church wants everybody to ignore, wants it to go away, and nobody talks about it anymore. But they're not gonna get off that easy. So
I'm going to start with something relatively modern. This was from an article in 2020, so not that long ago. And what makes this one significant is this was a new manual that they were using in the Sunday school lessons. This manual specifically was to help people learn about the Book of Mormon and, you know, the big book that started it all, that made our church unique. So in this manual, there was something that they noticed, and this article from the Salt Lake Tribune says several early readers of the 2020 Come Follow Me manual were troubled to see a note in one lesson that is a throwback to previous thinking. And this is a quote from the manual. It says, "The dark skin was placed upon the Lamanites so that they could be distinguished from the Nephites and to keep the two peoples from mixing." The book explains, citing a statement made some 60 years ago by then apostle and future church president Joseph Fielding Smith. "The dark skin was a sign of the curse," he continues. "The curse was the withdrawal of the Spirit of the Lord. Dark skin is no longer to be considered a sign of the curse." End quote. The church spokeswoman, continuing this article, explained the problem this week. During the publication of the Come Follow Me manual for 2020, there was an error that resulted in the print ticket material that doesn't reflect the church's current views on the topic. So that's the piece that I took from that article. The interesting thing to me is the spokeswoman specifies the current views, but ignores that for about 150 years of the church history, it was always considered a curse. Most apologetic sites will tell you it never referred to skin color. Joseph Smith made a change to the 1840 version from white and delightsome to pure and delightsome. So this is the change that he made to the 1840 version of the Book of Mormon. So the trouble that happened, though, when the missionaries that were in England and other areas in Europe were there, they were using the 1837 copies, which didn't have this change. And so when they came back, they still had these older copies. And this 1840 version got lost in the mix-up. And when they redid copies in 1879 and 1920, they used the 1837 copies that still had it saying white and delightsome regarding the skin color. So that's just one of the great comedy of errors in this whole thing. This is supposedly the most accurate book, is the way that it was touted. And yet they have to keep making these new versions, and these supposed errors keep cropping up. So this has been going on since 1840 all the way through 2020. This thing will not go away, as much as the church would love it. So what this ended up causing is that finally, 1981, the copy that I own, church leaders changed the scripture with verses about Lamanites in the Book of Mormon from stating they shall be a white and delightsome people to stating a pure and delightsome people. So in 1981, they went back and fixed it again. So the darkened skin color was the explanation for why Israelites from 600 BC, who had olive skin, while Native American tribes today have much darker skin. Stick with me. I know that this sounds really bizarre, but this is what the Book of Mormon is all about. It's about some Jews from Jerusalem who were warned that Jerusalem was going to get destroyed and the people would be taken prisoner. And so this guy named Nephi and his parents and their family all left, and they took another family from Jerusalem with them. They went in a boat and landed in the Americas. That's how this book starts. Like, this is, I'm not even making this up. This is the story that I grew up with as a kid. Now, things that are important to notice in this thing, the very first pre-introduction of the book, not even the introduction official, but just before that, it specifies right here that this was something written by Mormon himself, the guy who compiled all of these stories. This was his note that was supposedly translated. So this is what they decided to start it off with. It specifies it was written to the Lamanites, who are a remnant of the house of Israel, specifying these are Jewish people. And the Lamanites were people who came from the Nephites. Laman was one of Nephi's brother. That's where the names come from. So Nephites, Lamanites. Laman was the rebel brother. Nephi was the good brother. Take that as you will. So again, it specifies the Lamanites are Israelites, according to this first page, as well as it was also, of course, written to anyone else, but it specifies them. Now, Lamanites were the ones Lamanites were the ones genuinely cursed with darker skin. Also, since it was based on righteousness, the skin color frequently changes in the Book of Mormon. So sometimes the Lamanites were the good guys, and their skin would become white, while the Nephites got cursed with the dark skin because they were wicked. At the end of the book, it's the Lamanites that have the dark skin when there's a major war that they fight against the then white-skinned Nephites. The Lamanites wipe out the Nephites, so only dark-skinned people are living in the Americas. This is the reasoning that they've used on why Native Americans at that time in the 1830s had darker skin. Now, this is kind of fascinating because I learned this is not just like a Mormon idea. Back when Joseph Smith was a kid, this was a common theory on where Native American people came from. There were a lot of people that had this idea that they were Jews who came over somehow. And there were all sorts of theories on why they were finding all of these burial mounds with all of these mass graves and these artifacts which they thought were ancient. What really happened is when people came over to the Americas and brought all the illnesses with them, they were killing off the Native Americans who had no immune system to these illnesses. And because of this, they were dying en masse and had to bury their people in these mass graves and just move on. So when the newer people who just showed up to the Americas finally found these burial graves, they were trying to figure out what happened. And just like we do today, they used their best guess on what clues they had. And that was the conclusion a lot of them came to, is that these were ancient Jews who came over and these bodies have been there for thousands of years or so. So just kind of a piece of history that I've learned on this to understand where this all came from. So it doesn't sound as crazy. It still sounds crazy, but that's the origins. Now, the index in my copy has a few different, it's really good about specifying all these different topics. The ones that I was looking at specifically, I have darkness, physical. I have curse, cursing. I have skin, and then I have white. Those are the sections that I looked specifically for so that I could find exact scriptures with this evidence, so that wrote it directly from what I've got. Now, my copy, given to me on my 11th birthday in 1996, is the 1981 version. So let's see what these scriptures actually say. I've got all these written out. They have the book name, they have the chapter and the verses. I've also got a bit of a description on what's going on in this so that it's got some context to it. So I'm going to let you guys play with these ones. If you want, like I said, I have all of these written down. Then I'm going to skip down to this spot. So scriptures like these are what let blatant racism come out of the mouth of Joseph Smith and then Brigham Young, the guy who took charge of the Utah branch of the original church and ended up being the big leader in Utah territory and ran things as much as he saw fit. But it didn't stop with them. So I've got some more great quotes from the first guy in charge, the second guy in charge, and even more that followed. And this is not a comprehensive list. These are just some quick ones that I was able to find. And these are taken from church documents, church manuals, church history books. This is not just something that I've dug from what they call anti-Mormon literature. This is directly from the church's quotes. So enjoy reading those as well. Now, with all of those quotes from those leaders, it still didn't end there. Like I said, this has been something still going on. Now, it did take 3 major factors for the church to finally allow people of color to have the priesthood. And that took until 1978. Keep in mind, the general civil rights laws that were put in place, that was roughly 1965, 1966. It took the LDS Church another decade to finally get on board with this. So there are 3 factors, and there's one reason that the church will give on why this finally happened, but the 3 big reasons that this move was made. The church was at financial risk of losing their tax-exempt status because of discrimination. BYU, their big university, was being boycotted with sports and all other things, and which of course was also cutting into them financially because people weren't trying to apply to the school. People weren't letting their sports teams compete, which caused a whole other mess. But the big one, they realized that people in Brazil and other areas where they had missionaries going at the time, race there was more ambiguous. And with all of the other quotes that the previous leaders had been saying for over a century, it was very clear you couldn't have a drop of blood that wasn't white. And so basically they wouldn't have anybody who could have the priesthood. They would have nobody who would be able to run the congregations, to run the temples. And this would prevent a lot of people from even wanting to join. So that cut out tithing and membership numbers. So miraculously, after all of this, that's when God decided his chosen people were ready for the curse to be lifted. That's really the short version. It's ludicrous once you finally have the awareness and are told what really happened, instead of what I was told, that basically, yeah, that we were finally ready for it all to happen. And that's it. Now, decades after that policy change, we're still feeling the racist culture. Mormonism is touted as an American religion. It's one of the few that started in the States and is still around. Add to that the idea that white skin is preferable, which makes it a white supremacist religion. I can't even make this up, but even as far as the 1980s, there were people who were told, if you are more righteous and you have darker skin, eventually your skin will lighten. And there were people who believed this. There were people who would donate blood specifically so that people of color could receive it, and they thought that it would change the skin color. It's insane, but yeah, that's one of the things that was going on when I was little. And of course, there's a lot of people who still have those kind of ideas.
Wow. So you get a blood donation so you can change your skin color? Oh, that's so out there.
It's delusional teachings.
Yeah.
Straight up.
Oh, Stephanie, I think that your microphone is muted. I'm not hearing you.
Yes,
Okay.
it was. How about that? Yeah. Yeah, that's nuts. But then again, we'll be saying a lot of that, I think, throughout this episode. Boy, that's crazy. But here's where some of the crazy peeks through. I'm gonna try to share my screen here. Here's where it peeks through for all of us that we need to. We kind of need to pay attention to. There's an article in the Christian Post. The man who is now second in line to the presidency, Mike Johnson, rose to power after praying through it, says Family Research Council's Tony Perkins.
That's horrible.
There was a need for leadership, and Mike and I had been talking about that and just praying through it, and felt like the opportunity was going to come where a leader like him could step forward, and that did in fact occur through the hand of God.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Perkins, 60, said his relationship with Johnson, 51, goes back about 25 years. The two first met while Johnson was still a law student at the Louisiana State University. So these guys are, they've been preparing for this for a long time. His views are no surprise. It's what is outlined in Scripture, Perkins said. According to both Family Research Council and Johnson, have publicly proclaimed that they believe what the Bible teaches. I'm a Bible-believing Christian, Johnson said last Thursday. Someone asked me today in the media, they said, people are curious, what does Mike Johnson think about any issue under the sun? I said, well, go pick up a Bible off your shelf and read it. That's my worldview. That's what I believe. And so I make no apologies for it. We're this close, folks. Some of the stuff you're going to be seeing today out of these pamphlets. That's what this guy believes. That's where he's at.
I mean, like, if you're going to create laws based on the Bible and have some people interpret it, I just feel like that's utterly terrifying.
Yeah. It's horrible.
So let's get into some crazy. What do you got, Mary? Let's go with some nuts. Somebody must have the beer.
Unload. I thought I would read y'all a passage from this wonderful book called Created to be a Helpmeet by Debbie Pearl. Are y'all familiar?
No.
Oh, no.
Well, I have some ABCs for all of us. It's on page 228, chapter 21. To be good. The ABCs of being a good helpmeet. Admit when you're wrong. Be positive. Cuddle. Do it his way. So we should just do it Mike Johnson's way. Okay, my bad.
No.
Encourage him. Fix his breakfast. Give back rubs. Hug often. I love you should be said many times daily. Joke around in a playful manner. Know his needs. Listen to him. Manage your home well. Never hold grudges. Open your eyes in the morning and smile. I just have to interject here and say, because we're all supposed to sit still and look pretty.
Yeah, basically.
And our job is to anticipate the needs of men before they even know they have those needs, and then meet those needs. But I digress. Come on, we got more. Once we smile, we should pray for him. Quit nagging him. Reminisce about good times. Show respect and honor. Understand his need for reverence. Vulnerability is a feminine trait. Cultivate it. Wink at him. X is for private times. And yearn to please him. And zealously guard him with your love. And chapter 22, which is the very next page, says, by now, you should be fully aware of what the text means when it says that aged women should teach the young women to be obedient to their own husbands, that the word of God be not blasphemed. I'm just saying. We should be very aware of that, right?
Yeah. No.
Oh, I have some more traits of a good helpmeet, too.
Okay.
Do you want to hear?
Yes, please.
Reflecting on the good. But the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, long-suffering, gentleness, goodness, faith, meekness, temperance. Against such there is no law. Galatians 5:22-23. Goodness is a fruit of the Spirit. Our goodness should first be directed towards our family. Traits of a good helpmeet. A helpmeet helps. The good lady is a doer. She is busy serving others. She serves her husband first, her children second, others next, and herself last. She is genuine and well disposed. Okay, I'm done. What do we think about that?
I suppose a good helpmeet in the Mormon Church, at least in certain branches of the Mormon Church, would be for you to help the fella meet other women. Whatever. It's like,
I mean, you can yearn after him. Yearn after him, Stephanie.
oh my god.
Oh
Or,
no.
or did you like the obedience part too?
Oh yes, of
No.
course.
So, are you saying that maybe you weren't quite as as obedient as they wanted you to be?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think that I could be able to live like that.
I
Mm.
mean, it's you're last. It's like indicative of like when we like sit at the table at home, like we would sit at the table with like the husband is always at the head of the table and his wife sits to his left, and then starting from the youngest boy to his right, the children would go around the table and sit there to all the way to the oldest boy, and then it started with the oldest girl and go down to the youngest girl, and then last is the mother. And then typically the way that the food was sent around the table was legitimately to your right.
Oh,
Why do you think that is?
so you might have nothing at the end, or just a very little? Oh,
Luck of the
Depends on
draw.
if you have adequate amounts of food.
Okay. I'll what's for dessert?
Well, what if we have like some green cracker pudding today? Do you know what that is?
no, what is that?
Oh, it's you take graham crackers and you crush them up and you put some brown sugar and some butter, brown butter with them, and you kind of make this layer of vanilla pudding and then a layer of graham crackers, and then you top it. You fill a bowl with layers of that, and then you top it all off with whipped cream.
Brilliant.
Hmm,
Brilliant.
sounds nice. Brown
I
Oh, do
butter.
you
mean,
have a pamphlet? Do you have something you want to
Do you
share
have?
at this point?
Yeah.
I mean, it's this is that's a tough one to top, but
Yeah. Yeah, that wanted to make me jump out of the planet.
Mhm.
I'm so glad that I didn't have to do that. What order do you have, Mary?
hold up. You're putting me on the spotlight. I thought you had pamphlets too.
Oh, I think okay.
Yeah,
I'm going to
yeah.
show the one that is for children. What do you? Uh, it's full of appropriate stories for kids. It's called My Book of Biblical Stories. So, as you can see here, just by the titles, it's everything not just curated for kids. There's nothing wrong in there, right? And and one of the parts that is showing, the only thing that I have to recognize is that they have lovely illustrations. They are very good at it. And all of this is made by the Jehovah's Witness. They have people there as a volunteers. They don't pay them to do this. And as you can see, obviously, Adam and Eve, there were white people. So because obviously, you know,
Sure.
and they got booted, and well, they were given fashionable clothes with fur. I don't know. They had their kids in there, and you know, this is for children. This is for children. It's awesome, isn't it?
Mhm.
The first murder ever. So yeah, this is something for a kid. They will give it to you if you were like 8, 7 years old.
Okay, so I just have a question, Alma.
Hmm.
What then is the problem when they talk about people that claim that, like, drag shows are like indoctrinating our children, but really, like, what then is the problem if they can show their children like these kinds of books? Like, I've always had this question.
Oh yeah, it's just that it turns out that if you see a drag queen, you will turn into one, like immediately.
Really?
But
Yeah.
we're not going to turn into like people like this in these books.
Oh no, because that's approved by Jehovah. So you're protected somehow. So they have other lovely stories, like when a guy who just was listening to the voice on his head wanted to kill his kid. People drowning. That's also very good for kids.
Yeah, super.
Yeah, people stealing from each other. What else? Let me see what else. Oh, um, how they were mistreated in Egypt, even though there is no proof of that. But um, somebody talking to a flaming bush.
Yeah.
Um,
Because none of this sounds delusional, and none
yeah,
of this sounds like it could possibly traumatize children. None of it whatsoever.
yeah, and there's stuff that is completely believable, like the sun stopping. The sun stands still.
Yeah.
Yeah, this totally happened. Um, what else? The temple. Um, what else do they have in here? Oh, young Jesus in the temple, because that also happened. Do you see how somehow in the Middle East everybody is like with blue eyes and very uh, pale skin?
Mm-hmm.
And also, there's something really nice for kids to see in here. Um, Let me see the last one. Oh, how everything's going to end, and we will live forever.
Right.
This is one.
All,
Yeah. Yeah.
and billions of people will die.
Oh yeah. But you
Yeah.
get to live.
There's
I
that
mean,
part. Yeah.
who
Well,
cares about everybody else?
You're the one right religion, and because of that, like, you have found the right way. So you will live forever and ever and ever, and there's going to be a new paradise on earth. Like,
Yeah.
I just,
Yeah.
where is the evidence? Do they have evidence to support this?
No. No, they don't. They just put some Bible verses in here. That's the quote, the citation. That's it.
mhm.
Yep.
Well, everything that's in the Bible is the word of God, the unwavering and unfailing word of God. Our Speaker of the House says so.
Yeah, but look, if you see on the one of the corners, you are gonna have a pet lion.
Nice.
Because everybody wants a pet lion. Every child
Yeah.
wants a pet lion and isn't afraid of lions at all.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, that is exactly how it's going to happen. Hmm.
So are the Amish millennialists in their Christian belief? Do they believe in all of that kind of Armageddon stuff?
Well, we kind of believed. So I was actively in the church when Y2K happened, and I heard a lot about how the end of the world is going to happen. That's one of the things that made me feel like it's a lie because nothing happened. But yes, we believe in revelations. I was lied to. There's going to be like the four white horses. Not happened. Has not happened. It's all a lie. Like I'm just saying, those four white horses. But we do have preachings about sermons about the end of the world is coming, and we always have to be prepared. And if we're prepared, we can have hope that we can go to heaven. Like we don't believe in absolution of salvation. We just believe that if we live our lives in a godly enough manner, then we have hope that we can have it.
Mm. Wow.
And the Amish, do you guys have like scientific text, like books explaining the science for you?
Books explaining the science, that's a negative. No, we don't necessarily have that. We have like do you know what the martyr's mirror is?
What is it? No, no.
No.
Um, oh, how do I describe the martyr's mirror? I guess I would say it's basically a book of like stories of um, martyrs. Like we would like have all these stories of martyrs, and one of the ideas that I believed was that it is better to suffer in this world and be like the martyrs in that book, because it has a
Okay.
collection of over 4,000 Christians who endured like suffering, torture, and a martyr's death because of their simple faith in the gospel of Christ, because the persecution complex is real.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Did any Did
I
any of
also
y'all have a book like that?
um I have something, but it's mostly like they give you like a card that is says that you should not get blood because you are if you get a transfusion, you'll lose the possibility of living on that paradise I just showed you. Just because you wanted to save your life. If you get into an accident and lose a ton of blood, you just should, I don't know, die because uh, the alternative that a blood transfusion is no, 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 no.
Yeah, and that's based on an interpretation of the Levitical law against eating blood, I believe.
Yeah.
And and this goes to highlight when someone says, I'm a Bible believing Christian. Most Christians don't agree with the doctrine of refusing blood transfusions. So, which flavor of Bible believing Christian are we to trust? I mean, that's the thing that I think a lot of these folks, particularly who get involved in politics and say, "Well, I'm informed by my biblical worldview." Well, which one? Because there are a ton of them.
Yeah.
There's just tons of
I
them.
mean-
There's like there's a Holy Catholic Church, the Communion of Saints, whatever. I won't go through the creed, but how's anybody to know which particular flavor of crazy interpretation of the Bible anyone's supposed to live their life by? It just seems like a recipe for disaster to me.
Yeah. Look, I found the card. If you want to show it.
Mm.
Yep, there it is.
There it is.
And it's funny how they just ignore the second part of the verse when it says any sort of flesh. That means that you should be a vegetarian, but they just ignore that part and just go with the blood. And no, you should die if you need blood. You should die instead. So
Well,
they even.
I think it's very indicative of like how much sometimes, when I ask questions about like certain beliefs, like it was considered rebellious. And so if you're curious about the beliefs and why we're doing the things that we're doing, or you have questions that don't quite align with what leadership has dictated, that can easily label you as a bad person, as a rebellious person, which can then lead to other consequences. But I also think if they're like teaching children some of this stuff, I would consider it to be harmful to children. What do you think? Do you think it's harmful to children to teach them this?
Yeah, I think it's horrible because like I learned this when I was like fairly young. I was like 12. So because I was told that this is the truth. I mean, whatever you learned before when you were a Catholic and everything was a lie. So what we are telling you now is the truth. So you risk your eternity if you go against this. So for a kid, I think that, I don't know, but when I was a kid, I feel that everything was permanent. Like if I had something at that moment, it was going to be forever. So having this idea implanted since I was a kid, it was very difficult for me to get out of it. Even when I was already out of the religion, I was still having this fear in me that I was going in the wrong direction.
Well, here's another question. Like, so you have this fear, but also you're being told that if you don't do all of these things, like you could possibly go to where? Like, did you believe in eternal, like burning forever and ever and ever? Like, was that a thing? Like, when you start talking about what we're teaching kids, I think like some of the most harmful content is when you're teaching kids things that, like, first off, like their brains can't even process it because our brains haven't completed development until we're like 24. Like we're being actively harmed.
Mm-hmm.
That's just my opinion.
Mm-hmm. The Jehovah's Witnesses, they don't have like eternal punishment because what they apply to this, like the opposite of eternal living, is just die. You just die. Just they have a lake of fire. You will be thrown in there and die. That's the punishment. You will just, and nobody will remember that you even existed.
So you're like
diving
vampires
board?
and you have the true death.
Kind of.
I'm sorry.
I think it's pernicious to teach this kind of thing to children as the truth rather than as a story. I mean, I think religion's rather poisonous. I think that teaching critical thinking and practicing critical thinking is far more important of a thing, because if you do that, then you can read all the stories, you can read the Bible, you can read the Gita, you can read the Vedas, you can read uh, uh, anything and appreciate them for what they are, a product of the human mind.
You're absolutely right.
For better or worse. You know, but the human imagination is a wonderful thing. It's also a terrifying thing. And when it's captivated by doctrines that seek to suppress it for everyone but those who share your particular vision of the world, it's, you know, it's well, thought stopping. You know, there's no progress beyond that.
Yeah. And also,
It's
do you
not
want to?
only thought stopping, it also perpetuates harmful behavior, because when you talk about what you teach children, if I may, I'll read you a
Oh,
passage from this. Are you ready for it, Stephanie?
yes.
And
Yes.
Ready?
Yes.
all right, y'all. This booklet is called To a Girl of 11. It's a part of the Sacred Subjects, which are written by an Amish minister anonymously, because of course we can't put our name out there. These booklets are also published by an Amish publisher called Pathway Publishers. This edition was reprinted in 2022. They're available from Pathway Bookstore, which is in Canada and the US. They are advertised in Amish newspapers. And if you go read, page 14, I have some very specific rules, but page 14, 15, and 16 are really the most atrocious part of this book. So let's just start. Another thing that is becoming a harmful trend in some communities is for girls to wear dresses with low-cut necks. You may be sure that such a trend does not come from anything good. It does not come from the teachings of the Bible. It does not come from a desire to be modest and to protect the treasure of virginity. I do not care how accepted it is or how many others do it. It is still wrong. If you do your part to dress and behave modestly, and do not go out alone in public places, you need not have any great fears of men with evil intentions. Of course, you will want to pray to God to protect you at all times. There is something else that you need to know. As your body begins to make the changes from a bud into a flower, from childhood into beautiful girlhood, and that is that you should be careful of your dress and behavior, even around boys and men with good intention. And when you teach your children that, you know what your children think? People in my church are safe. People in my community are safe. It's only out there. It's very much dividing people. It's teaching children that if something does happen, it's probably because your neckline on your dress was too low. Also, is this too low? Let me just see. Is this too low? Are y'all like, I mean, I'm just saying. Anyways, continue on. Seldom does a young girl realize the tremendous power of her body to influence the thoughts of even the best intentioned boy or man. The sex urge, once it is awakened and active in a young boy at the age of puberty and beyond, can become a powerful driving force within him. He knows he should control his sexual desires, and he may want to very much. He may strive for purity, not only in actions, but also in his thoughts. Every decent girl who realizes this will do her best to help him and not make it harder for him. Even in your own home, if you have brothers in their teens, you should be mindful of this. Do not appear in their presence with nightclothes that are scanty. Be modest about climbing up ladders. Be sure your dress stays closed in front, and when you sleep, either be sure your door is closed or you are properly clothed or covered. Your brother, innocently coming upon you, and seeing your partly uncovered body may suddenly have strong sexual desires aroused within him. His intentions were not bad, but he suddenly finds himself the victim of your carelessness and the lusts of his own body, although he may never bother you, and you may never be aware of the harm you did him. He may well be tempted to sins of personal impurity, which many boys wrestle with. As a beautiful young girl, you have the opportunity to be an inspiration to all who come to know you, either at home or outside of it. One of the greatest treasures that can be found on earth is a pure virgin, obedient to her parents, cheerful and willing to work.
What?
Man, oh man.
What?
I need to do a shout out to Toy Soldier. Thank you so much for your $5 contribution. Really helps a lot. And also Fern Lovegood for $2 really helps a lot. And good on you saving that money at the dollar store there or Ross's, whatever it is. That's great. Good work. Strong work there. You know, one of the things you're reading this that springs to mind is it's teaching both young boys and young girls to be terrified of their own sexuality. It's just
And not only
just
that,
terrified.
it's teaching them that young boys are animalistic. Young boys cannot control themselves all over again, and it's up to us to control boys' behaviors. It's harmful to all of us. It's harmful to parents. It's harmful to children. But this is what people recommend.
And it goes back to the Adam and Eve story and the apple thing. The woman as temptress, the woman as the bringing sin into the world.
Oh yeah.
I can't deny that it has a biblical foundation, but it's taking the absolute worst interpretation of the story to cast aspersions upon half the human race. It's just terrible crap.
It's also Darvo. Like, it's literally denying that there is a victim in the case of child rape and child SA. This is to a girl of 11, right? This is what parents are supposed to use. This is the tools that they have to teach their children. So it is denying that there is a victim. It's reversing the role of the victim and offender, because it's talking about, even if your brother doesn't bother you, if he rapes you, then at that point, it is your fault because you're the one who enticed him to do this.
Yep.
It is classic Darvo. So it's like reversing those roles, and it's just like vilifying the victims of crimes. And you're right that it's biblical. It goes right back to the Bible.
Mm-hmm. Well, the Jehovah's Witness has also a book for the teenagers to tell them how to behave.
Ooh.
There it is. This is also a book that I was given when I was 13 because it has important topics for me to learn. Like, how do you deal with family, with your identity, with sex, morals, and love? Even with your free time, worship, self-destructive behavior, everything was there for me to learn. They have, how would you be, who would you be your role model? Like Jacob should Job, Moses, Ruth, Timothy, because I don't know, reasons, I guess.
Yeah, reasons.
Yeah. This is how to deal with your family. They even give you an action plan. You have to give this answer to the elder. So he will know what you're struggling with.
So they're very involved in making sure that you're only applying the actual things that they have decided that you need to work on into this book.
Exactly. Okay. Oh, if you don't have any freedom at home, you feel like you're in jail, it's mostly your fault because you don't know how to behave. You have to prove yourself that you are trustworthy and gain your parents' trust and make an action plan to do that. They tell you how to deal with divorce. What else that is in here? Remarriage.
Divorce.
Yeah. I think they have something about homosexuality in there. So that's just don't do it because that is what you're supposed to do. Just repress it and keep it in there.
Hey, I just have to ask, what makes you be ready to leave home?
Oh, let me see. When you already have domestic skills, money management skills, and also you have to have like tell the reasons why you want to leave. And if those are not the correct ones, well, they will set you straight. No. You're not
They're
supposed to
going to
leave
put you
if you
back on
want.
the straight and narrow road, huh?
Yeah, exactly.
Couple
And
things I want to break in on at this point in time, and just give a little bit of a reminder to don't forget to check out the other shows here on Skeptic Haven. Secular Soapbox on Wednesdays, Thursdays the Sunny Spot, and Saturday the Global Atheists, and this show Women Atheists Unload. And coming up tomorrow, or rather, yeah, tomorrow, that's Sunday. Let's Talk call-in show this Sunday will be Secular Rarity, and Brentley will be taking your calls to talk about whatever you like. Also, thank you so much to our patrons: Fern Lovegood, Sidney Davis Jr., Eric Ozols, Rion, Deneen Murphy, Dan D., Michael Wiseman, Kathy Cotton, Cindy Plaza, Sonny Shell, Aaron Coalson, Phil Calderone, and Amanda McLeod.
nice, thank you, everybody. Well, like I was showing, this book is telling you that not to have friends outside of the Jehovah's Witness, because this is what will happen. You see this girl giving you a beer. Yeah, that will happen immediately. If you have any friend outside of the Jehovah's Witness, somebody will just go up to you and give you free beer. What else? About health. Oh, you have to also watch what you eat. What can I wear? Look at how ridiculous is this. They're like, oh my God, how are you wearing this? You're showing the shoulders.
Look how horrified they look. Oh my word. Oh my goodness.
Next thing we know, Alma's going to have an OnlyFans page with shoulders.
Yeah.
It's going to show the shoulders.
So, yeah, everything in this book is horrible. They give you more questions than answers, and they just tell you not to trust anybody that is outside the religion. Sometimes not even your parents, because if your parent is outside the religion, he might give you wrong ideas. They have every chapter for everything that happens in your life. Everything. School. Should I stop not going to school? This is something that they deny to do. But it is pretty clear in here that if school is not letting you do more productive stuff like preaching and bringing more people to the religion, then yeah, you should definitely quit school, because who needs school, right?
Yeah.
Because you know what? Education is just really for people who are very prideful. And if you go to school too much, people just really get full of themselves, and they just go out there and they do all kinds of stuff, and then they lead other people within the congregation astray, right?
Yeah. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Like, they try to cover every single thing that you do. Are you ready to get married? This is for teenagers, and they already telling you how to get ready to get married.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean,
Are you ready?
How are you ready?
Yeah. No. No. How to date, who to date, how to break up, how to not having sex with your significant other for any reason, how to not smoke, taking drugs or alcohol, because this is also that happens every time that you go outside. Somebody will give you a cigarette.
I didn't know there were free cigarettes, but okay.
There is also free alcohol, I guess.
What's wrong with binge drinking? Well,
Yeah. Yeah. When schoolmates offer me alcohol, yeah, because that happened a lot when I was a teenager. Everybody was offering me free alcohol. Or free drugs. Yeah, also that too. They will offer me free drugs. Yeah. Everything is in here. Do you have
Do they
anything?
also have rules about their courtship, like when they're dating, how they should date? Like, for example, in this little booklet, it says, don't make the mistake of being mushy in public.
Oh, yeah.
Like, they have rules around that.
Yeah, you could get this fellowship if your boyfriend gets to second base. You could get called with the elders and make a big deal out of somebody saw him touching you, and most likely will be the girl who will be in trouble for that.
Of course.
And yeah, and it will be announced to the congregation, so everybody knows what you did.
Did they also warn you, as in like into a boy of 12, which is a counter booklet to a girl of 11? They say Satan does not want you to grow up and have pure and clean thoughts. He will set many traps for your feet. One of these traps is the sin of masturbation. Many people call it self-abuse. This is the sin of turning to your own body for sexual enjoyment in the way that your seed passes from you.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they do have something like that, but it's from another book. I wanted to show that one last because I want to show also this book. This is a book that if I show it to any people that has a degree in biology or anything, they will take it and hit me with it.
I'll read you another part from 2 Boy 12.
Okay.
As we mentioned previously, the finger-like organ you urinate from is your penis.
Oh,
Okay? I'm just saying, just for biology. just for
I mean,
scientific.
what?
uh,
Don't worry, testicles are described as the roundest lumps inside the loose hanging sac.
oh. Well, there is something that to be said about this book. Has a lovely, lovely pictures. They are really good at the illustrations. But what he says,
Well, can I just say, I just feel like y'all are being a little worldly with all your books and illustrations. Like, that just feels like you just might have lost your way.
yeah. So they have this book where they pull out BS in there. There is no nothing scientific in this book. They're just telling you, oh, just look at the trees, and that's
Mhm.
how God did everything. And scientists do not agree on everything, so therefore God something.
As if Christians do, agree
Yeah.
on everything. Of course they do. Well, not really.
They go as far as telling you that these animals that were shown in the in any other book do not exist. They were made up. Everything just came up as it is right now. Because that's how it happened. It popped out of the ground, like in Genesis said. They explain the phases of Genesis scientifically. I think.
I always hear a logical scientific explanation for Genesis.
uh, they don't. They just cherry pick a lot of it. Oh, look. Do you see how you get a pet tiger? I'm sorry, a pet lion. They used to have it before.
Hmm. Nice.
Why do we have pet lions, like, as a depiction? Like, I've always been baffled by this. Why?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I think that they might kill you or something, but no.
They're
Uh,
less of a burden than a pet giraffe. I don't know.
oh yeah, they also have pet giraffe. Look,
Oh, really?
and elephants. Yes, because that's exactly what happened.
Somehow I just don't find myself convinced.
And they put some like discoveries, I guess, that the Bible was real. Uh, like I said, there is no citations for anything in reality. They just like said, oh, there is this article, but they never say which one. And at the end, again, they put like, oh, you're gonna live in paradise, but you're gonna work.
Why is the only thing I hear in my head right now like "Work Bitch"? Have you ever heard the song by Britney Spears?
Oh, but if you were older, you're gonna go back to your 20s or something, even with the
Mhm.
hairdo that you had on when you were young, I guess.
Yeah. Oh,
Yep.
wow. Look at that.
Yep. Yeah, and like I said,
We-
you are gonna have pet bears, pet lions, pet tigers. There's another pet tiger there. Look.
Oh my.
I just feel like those tigers are really working hard. It's almost like they're working overtime.
Yeah. So make a good choice. Make a good choice and choose this. Yeah. So
See, you asked me earlier if we had any scientific texts. See, part of the issue with like understanding Amish culture and Amish teachings is you have to understand that even when it comes to doctrine, that what we were taught as far as like science goes. So we went to parochial schools because in 1972 there was Wisconsin versus Yoder, which is a Supreme Court ruling that allowed for 3 Amish families who were being prosecuted by the state of Wisconsin for failing to send their children to high school. So instead, what we had was we had one-room schools with all 8 grades inside of that one school. Our curriculum was monitored by the school boards and the churches because the church ministry, of course, like had to make sure everything was on the up and up. Our books, our actual books, like we didn't learn any science. The first time somebody asked me about the Big Bang Theory, I literally was like, what the fuck are you talking about? I had no idea because we were taught reading, writing, arithmetic. I had to learn English to learn reading, writing, arithmetic. Um, and then we had a little bit of history and geography. And the last 4 years, I had High German classes in the schools I went to. The books that we had were heavily like moderated, and I say this because we had pages that were missing from the books. Some of the places we would have things blacked out, things whited out. Sometimes like pages would be stapled together. That kind of controlling the content and controlling access to information is actually a critical component of what makes it so crucial to understand why booklets like this or like this even exist.
mhm, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, that's a means of control. With the Jehovah's Witness, there is something that maybe a lot of people do not understand when they are talking to them, but they have a book that is given to you when you are going out to talk to people. This book, you are not going to see it unless you are going to preach outside. It's a book that they give you to have every answer to any questions that you are given. So whenever you are talking to a Jehovah's Witness, you are not getting the answers from that person. You are getting the answers from the watchtower, because they go very specifically, like saying, "Oh, what do you think about the suffering that goes allowed?" And then there is a paragraph that's saying, "Oh, you should answer this, and if you say this, you should answer all of this, and then quote this verse of the Bible, and this and this and this." So it's not, you are not having like a conversation with the person. You are having a conversation with that book.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. I do have to ask, like, do Mormons also control information or access to information like that?
Yeah, I've, as far as I know, with the people that I have met from that religion, because my mom was a very good friend with one of them. Seems that if you have one of the oldest books, you are not supposed to like have it, and whatever they tell you to get rid of, you will have to get rid of. Like, they will be very controlling also regarding information. And also, what she told me was that they are not supposed to go online and look for pages that they have that have information against the church or if they see like a scandal in there, that just avoid it, because they are being persecuted, and everything that everybody says is probably lies.
Well, the Mormon Church, the Mormon Church has a publishing empire. Of course, they publish the Book of Mormon. They publish a whole bunch of stuff.
Mhm.
So they do their best. They understand what PR is pretty well. They've got. They're darn close to the Roman Catholic Church in their endowments anyway, in their wealth. So they've got a lot of means of control over the message. But things intervene, like the recent scandal with Tim Ballard, the guy
The
who
one
was
with the movie,
the guy with yeah.
yeah.
That's that there's lawsuits that are breaking out all over around that guy's activities that will involve the Latter-day Saints in litigation, I think. But I don't know.
What is scary, that something scary that came out of that movie? Have you heard the name Eduardo Verástegui? He's the one that was promoting the movie in Latin America.
No.
He was supposed to be one of the producers of that movie. The guy, he's basically saying that he wants to run for president so he can restore the church and everything, because Mexico has become too separated from the church, especially
See,
that now abortion is legal. He's going to prevent that.
It's not just here in the United States, it's all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think it's important to remember that sometimes certain groups of people, maybe when you control the information, like think about it. If you control people's access to information, it keeps people ignorant. And so information can be power for people within insular religious groups. And when we are able to provide better information and have open dialogue, we have the ability to maybe give people access to information. And I would encourage anybody who's out there, like, really think about, what do you believe? Why do you believe it? Is there evidence to support it? Is it humanity? Is it furthering humanity towards a better place in the world? Or are we detrimentally harming marginalized people by what we believe? Are we being racist as fuck? Let's be real, because some of the teachings that we talked about today were racist as fuck.
Yeah.
Or are we actually sitting here and challenging our own bias towards that? Do we still cotton to the idea that white and delightful, or whatever that phrase was? That phrase makes my skin crawl, Stephanie.
What's that?
It was pure and delightful. Was changed from white and delightful to pure and delightful.
Oh.
Yeah, like, it makes my skin crawl. Like, that is gross, but it's also similar to what I was taught. So, like, I would just encourage you to seek out more information and maybe get different sources of information. Don't just look at one place. Look at various places. Look at things and be curious. You get to do that. Nobody can take that from you. And think about it critically, even if it makes you uncomfortable. Also, go forth and win at sin.
Yeah.
Alma, any final thoughts you'd like to?
There is one final book, that the one that I keep telling you that I am not supposed to have, that I got anyway. Nobody's supposed to have this. Nobody's supposed to see it. I couldn't find it in English because I think they will be actively looking for to, I don't know, censor it. But I got this in Spanish, but I will read it a little bit of what it is. This is only for the elders. Every elder that is named is going to get a book of this. If an elder leaves, they have to return this manual to the committee of the service of the congregation unless they move to another congregation. And the secretary will keep it in the file. I mean, nobody's supposed to have it if you are not an elder.
Thanks, Fern.
Thank you, Fern. So this is how the elders guide the flock. How they're supposed to get another elders to give them the title, to help the weak. This is what number 4 says, help the weak. How to form a judicial committee. This is not that you are going to go to the police for something. No. This is how you're going to deal with things that are crimes, but you're not going to report it to the police. You are just going to form like a council and deal with it internally. This is something that they have denied to do. No. We report anything. No. They will not do it. And this is proof of it. I'm going to go to that section because that's one of the interesting parts. And this is how you get called in with to talk with the elders for something that you did, for something that they think it will be serious, like a real big sin. And this is the offenses that require the judicial action. First of all, this word here is for killing somebody, or yeah, that.
Yikes.
So they are supposed to deal with that. Now, it doesn't say call the police. It doesn't say that. You said that you have to investigate. After investigation, the elders will determine if it's precise to call out a judicial committee to attend the case. So they have to
What
investigate.
qualifies them?
Nothing. Absolutely nothing. They have no idea.
So basically, they're telling their pastors that they are the law for this community, and the worldly people should stay outside of it, or that you should do everything in your power not to let it get into the hands of the state.
Exactly.
That's just not good.
Only until they
think they're
have
a sovereign
everything.
government
Yeah, there's
or
like
a sovereign entity.
Yep. Yeah, and this committee, after they have done the research, then they will talk to the secular authorities. That's what it says here. But after, not before. That is an attempt of harming yourself. For this is how they should deal with it. They need also an audience. They don't have to take the person to be helped by a professional. No. You have to deal with it yourself if you're an elder. So, yay. Also, as a Jehovah's Witness, you can get called into one of these committees if somebody found out that you have masturbation. This is the case number 5.
No. On that one, you got to call the cops.
Yeah. Yep.
Murder somebody? Nah. It's like suicide? Nah. No. Masturbate?
Nah.
Oh, hello, officer. We have a stroker here. Let's get. What the fuck?
Self-abuse. It's the most vile, egregious act,
Yeah.
But, homicide, that's not it. It's self-abuse. It reminds me of Pillowgate. Have you seen that video, Elma?
Oh, yeah, I have seen that. If you touch your pillow with too much love, Stephanie, and you get aroused by the pillow, you're guilty of this, and you will get committed for that.
May I read y'all a short story?
Yeah.
Okay. It's getting on here. But yeah, let's go.
I'm sorry, but
and then we'll wrap
it
up.
came
We can
up.
go on forever with all the garbage.
I want to know Elma's reaction.
Okay.
This is a booklet called Healing from Sexual Sin. Okay. Published by, I don't believe there's a publisher listed. It doesn't say there's publishers listed, but they were written. These are stories written by Amish people. Okay. So here's my story. And I have to give a disclaimer. If you're upset by masturbation, this is a story about self-abuse in all its glory. It's on page 6. At age 13, I discovered a world of self-applied ecstasy and was immediately addicted, masturbating up to 6 times a day. This was a high I hadn't experienced before. Those first 4 years, I wasn't completely sure if it was right or not. Then at 17, someone made a confession at church for Selbstbefriedigung. It's our word for masturbation. I asked Mother what this meant after we got home and was shocked to know that I had actually been sinning all this time. Although I had been guilty before, by this time I masturbated every time I took a bath or a shower. I could not go perform these acts without masturbating in bed. I would double a pillow in half lengthwise and imagine the crevice to be the crotch and double another pillow in half to represent the breast. Fantasies always led to my acting out in masturbation. In real life, I was shy and bashful with women. In acting out, I made advances and charmed them into having sex. Every woman I knew, every girl at school, young folks, women at church, each became a potential sex partner, even though after each acting out was over, I felt extremely guilty. I loathed myself. I hated myself. I will never do this again, I often decided. I often thought of how to quit and wondered how to do it. I finally decided on castration, though I couldn't bring myself to go through the pain. I just want to point out, you literally have demonized masturbation to the point you have somebody contemplating castration.
Yeah.
But to continue on, he describes being on fire, every inch of them being on fire with lust, going through cycles. I won't masturbate, I'll just stimulate. And then it went out of control all over again. Once I quit for 2 weeks, then it returned more than ever. Anyways, I knew my problem would quit after I married, but what a surprise, this did not come to pass. Masturbation and fantasy seemed to be better than the real deal. With masturbation, I could control when and how. Everything was smooth, warm, perfect. No bad smell, bad breath. No waiting for the woman to thaw out. No pimples, cellulite, wrinkles, or fat. Everything was perfect in the mind's eye, except for the guilt. Through all the fantasies and masturbation, I never fantasized about my wife. I guess that can be explained in that lust is love for self, and I loved her too much to fantasize and bring her down to my own level of loathing, even in my own mind. Finally, at age 25, I was ordained a minister, and for a month I could feel literally in the air the prayers of the church to help me. The presence of the Holy Ghost was in the air. During this time, I was not tempted, and by practicing a daily relationship with Jesus, I have remained clean for 5 years now. Welcome to Amish Pillowgate.
Oh my God.
And I found because I have the clip for Pillowgate with the Jehovah's Witness. I do have it, and there it is. You let me know if you can hear it. But Witness headquarters with a lot of responsibilities, such as planning meetings, witnessing Jehovah, and asking the really tough questions about humanity's funnels. Does there have to be an orgasm for it to be considered masturbation? Suppose a brother starts rubbing his genitals against a pillow. He gets an erection that stops before having an orgasm. Is he masturbating? Yes.
Yes.
Gary, I'm sorry, but it's just not working out for you here at Bed Bath Beyond.
Yeah. Well, fortunately, most of this ire is directed against the menfolk because, female orgasm is a myth.
They'd have to know basic anatomy, Stephanie.
Okay, on that happy note. Thank you, Mary. Thank you, Alma, for coming today. Did I say that? Wait a minute, so to speak, and sharing your thoughts today with us. And thank everybody in chat. Thanks everybody for coming again. Thanks to our sponsors, our supporters, patrons, Fern Lovegood, Sydney Davis Jr., Eric Ozols, Rion, Deneen Murphy, Dan D, Michael Wiseman, Kathy Cotton, Cindy Plaza, Sonny Shell, Aaron Coalson, Phil Calderone, and Amanda McLeod. And I guess we have unloaded for the day, and guess we'll see you later.
I know you told your friend you're not okay, and tell me what's wrong and why you never said you felt that way. And guess you're trying to stay strong and fake a smile until I look away. But I've known you too long, it hurts to watch your blue eyes fade to gray as you fade away, as you fade away.
Yeah, I'm about to fade away.